Greetings, metalheads, and welcome to No Nonsense Metal Reviews. I'm George, and today I'm back with another gig review. So, a review of a show that I attended on 3rd of May 2024 in a venue that I have never visited before. To be honest, prior to this gig being announced, I had never even heard of this place before. Been to Norwich many, many times. Tends to always be the waterfront venue, the waterfront studio, the UEA, even Epic Studios on one occasion. But never had I heard of Voodoo Daddies. Now, Voodoo Daddies is essentially, the venue anyway, is essentially just the basement of a kind of bar and pizza restaurant. I had, as I say, never heard of it before, never been there before, but actually it looked like a freaking great place. Walked in and greeted by the sound of bolt thrower blaring through the speakers. So bolt thrower is the kind of thing you want to be greeted by. That's always a good first impression. And the venue itself downstairs was a decent venue, good sound. It's essentially a pub basement. Good size though, packed out, absolutely jam packed down there. But it was a freaking great night. So the evening was headlined by a band that I've talked about a lot on this channel recently, and I have to say they are a fantastic band on record. They are a superb band live, and they are, in my opinion, and also the opinion of many other enlightened metalheads, one of the best bands in the UK death metal scene. No question. Just actually in the global death metal scene, in my opinion. What they're doing is keeping true to the old school style, but they're keeping things current and they're adding something a little bit different in there. They've got their own sound, definitely. 2 full-length albums in their catalogue. I am, of course, talking about Cambridge, UK's very own Celestial Sanctuary. Bloody excellent band. Wicked logo as well. Loving that. As you can see here. Celestial Sanctuary were headlining the night. There was also 3 other bands on the bill, all of which were essentially hardcore bands. I'm not going to pretend to know anything about hardcore music other than the close association with, I guess, the brutal death metal, slam, beatdown, or deathcore, metalcore, that kind of association. I'm totally ignorant. I'll be completely honest when it comes to hardcore. Metal has always been my thing, but it was an interesting mix. I think it's always good to have a variety on a bill, and having a death metal band headlining, they're obviously friendly with these other bands. We had a band entitled Chainlink, we had Final Nail, and then we had Tempers Fray. I think Final Nail were from Norwich as well, so local boys. And then I think Tempers Fray said they were from London, so they're UK bands. It's a small scale thing. They're all local, and they were all very good. Unfortunately, we didn't manage to catch the first band on, which I believe must have been Chainlink. Unfortunately, due to work commitments, same old crap. But we did get there in time for Final Nail, and that was a good, heavy set. I don't know any of the songs. My trusty gig companion was pretty keen on it and certainly enjoyed it enough to be listening to it later that evening. So Final Nail, we obviously made a very good impression. But it was a good set. It's definitely got that metalcore, deathcore, outright aggression. I'm not going to insult hardcore fans or the bands by claiming to really understand, but I will say, as an outright metalhead, I had a good time standing there headbanging along while you've got a pit full of hardcore fans two-stepping. I don't even know if that's what it's called, but that was the shout out, and just having a freaking good time. So these bands, they delivered solid sets. So we had, as I say, Final Nail, tons of breakdowns, some good gutturals in there, kind of aggressive, hardcore vocals. It was solid set from a solid band, and yeah, I might even look into their tracks a little bit more myself. Then we had Tempers Fray on before the headliners, and Tempers Fray were very good. It did really remind me of sort of the beat down, slam, very guttural stuff. It's got that almost like rap, like hip hop kind of personality to it, which again is a little bit out of my comfort zone, but it was a good performance. It was heavy stuff. They're good musicians. There was some killer breakdowns there. As a metalhead, I could headbang along to that, no problem. And I think that they're a pretty solid band as well. And again, my friend was speaking very highly of that. I was very impressed. So you might have converted a few more people there with that performance last night. But for me, without question, the big draw was going to be the headliner. It was going to be Celestial Sanctuary, UK death metal heavyweights in the modern scene. And I really do say that genuinely. There's a lot of great death metal bands out there. There's a lot of up and coming bands, not just in the UK or in Europe, but in the US. There's bands across the world which are breaking out from the crypt and really standing out. But I really do think Celestial Sanctuary, they're that little cut above. They are doing something freaking excellent. More old school than some of the US bands like Vomit Forth or 200 Stab Wounds, where it tends to be very, very groove laden, very dirgy stuff. It's almost got that kind of hardcore incorporation in there. Celestial Sanctuary combine the good old school styles of Bolt Thrower, Morbid Angel, Cannibal Corpse, but then kind of run that through the filter of Tomb Mold or Blood Incantation. Just trying to think of some examples of the more prominent modern death metal bands, but a superb live act as well. So this was that turns out to be the fourth occasion that I've seen Celestial Sanctuary live. Every time, great, solid, reliable death metal band. Superb set. What I will say about Celestial Sanctuary is they know how to put on a bloody good show. So, talented musicians, no doubt there whatsoever. This is our lineup, in fact. So, there's the chaps. We've got on left, you've got Jay on bass, you've got Matt on guitar and vocals, Tom on vocals and guitar, and then you've got James on drums as well. So there's the four-piece. As I say, all very talented musicians, definitely. In Tom, you've got a very commanding stage presence there, a very good front man, good crowd kind of banter and interaction there. Still a very talented guitarist, delivering those rhythms there. Got that stage presence that you're looking for, certainly in a death metal vocalist, where they can stand there, command a crowd, but also deliver the goods and kind of present themselves as a metalhead themselves. Not trying to be a rock star. This is not the scene for that. Matt, guitars, very talented shredder. Some seriously good riffs there, some great leads. A real wild man. Looks the part, looks possessed on stage, pulling the facial expressions, snarling and growling and doing all the good stuff that you want from a death metal band in basically a basement. Freaking great. Jay, solid bass performance there. Looks metal, whatever. James, absolutely killing the kit. Very talented drummer. Didn't actually even realise until it was kind of niggling at me where I'd seen this guy recently, and of course it actually turned out to be the Infernal Sea. So James is also the drummer for the Infernal Sea. Didn't realise that. Had to look it up. It was picking something niggling at the back of my brain there. But there's the lads. As I say, all very talented musicians. Delivered a fantastic set. So this is the 2023 second full-length release from the band. This is entitled Insatiable Thirst for Torment. An absolutely cracking album, and it was one of my top, I think I did 15 in the end, top 15 albums of 2023, and it justifiably so, because it's a corker of an album. Prior to that, we had Soul Diminished, the debut album, which is equally as brilliant. I do lean a little bit more towards Insatiable Thirst. That said, they're both top-notch albums. They're both really solid death metal albums. There's no inconsistency there. It's still easily identifiably Celestial Sanctuary. There's a good continuity, but what I will say is that there's a notable kind of progression in terms of maybe the songwriting or the development between these albums. Certainly, it's a prominent feature on Insatiable Thirst. So I can't quite recall the exact order of the set list there, but it was a good length set. So I think we had about 10 tracks in the end. I know for a fact that we had Trapped Within a Rank Membrane, which was absolutely pummeling. You get these good heavy grooves, then you get the faster pace, more blasting sections where you can try and keep up with it and shatter your neck in the process. But then you get those nice sort of dirgy, not quite breakdowns, but chug fests where, yeah, you're going to be causing yourself some serious cranial damage to that. The excellent Glutted with Chunder, song titles are brilliant as well. That was an absolute belter, all presented really, really freaking well live. Yeah, just tore through that. Other tracks from this album, because I can't quite remember the order, but from Insatiable Thirst, I know we also had Swivel-Eyed and Gurning in the Shadows, which is a brilliant track. It's got that real darkness and, should we say, like creepy, sinister ambience that a band like Spectral Voice had. Very dark, gloomy stuff. Or Grave Miasma, another maybe more relevant sort of correlation there. I think we had Meandering Stream of Foul Fluid as well. And I also want to say that they closed the set out with Biomineralization. God, it just rolls off the tongue. Cell Death. So we had a heavy representation from Insatiable Thirst, which is totally justified. It's the new album. They're going to be pushing that, and with good cause, because honestly, if you're a fan of the good old stuff, if you love your Obituary, your Cannibal Corpse, if you love your Carcass, but you also love your more modern death metal as well, or even bands like Grave Miasma, Coffin Mulch, then you're gonna dig this big time. So heavily representing Insatiable Thirst, and with good cause, because not only does it have a cracking album cover there, looks death metal as hell, it's also just packed with great tracks. They also gave a good amount of attention to the debut, to Soul Diminished, playing the title track, Soul Diminished, playing Rid the Gormless, which again, these tracks, and certainly I feel like it's more prevalent on Soul Diminished, you get these massive groovy headbang along sections, and it just delivers, absolutely delivers. You know, you can feel it building. Freaking dirgy. And then we've got, I think, absolutely, we had Relentless Savagery, which is probably one of the best tracks on this album, easily. Suffer Your Sentinence, which is, again, it's probably one of the album highlights. Obviously, it's going to be a good live favourite with plenty of headbanging, plenty of chugging, decent guitars thrown in there, decent solid vocals, of course. And I want to say we also had Mass Extinction as well, just thrown in for good measure. I believe so, anyway. I can't quite remember. This is going entirely from memory and a quick glance that I managed to catch of the set list printed out next to Matt at the front of the stage there. So, trying to do a little bit of detective work there and trying to scour my brain and listen back to both of these again, obviously. And actually, I will add a little link at the end of this video to the bands you need to hear recommendation review that I did on Celestial Sanctuary a while back now, but take a little bit of a closer look at each of these albums, going through the tracks, and also showing off my other formats, because I haven't got them here to hand, but I do also have a rather nice colour vinyl of Soul Diminished, the debut, and I do also have cassette tape copies of both of these albums, courtesy of the great Church Road Records. Seems like a decent little label. So it was a fantastic set, good length. It was a good evening, good venue. Of course, I couldn't help myself but pick up another Celestial Sanctuary tour shirt. So it has got the dates on the back, but I absolutely love this shirt because this is so old school looking. This looks like, late 80s into early 90s, gruesome death metal. That's all you need to know. Also had the pleasure of having a little bit of a chat with Tom at the merch table, and was extremely honoured that Tom actually even recognised me from this channel. So, nod to you, Tom. And a free patch. That is a very welcome gift, and that is going to be going on my new patch jacket, which I am working on. So thank you very much to Tom for that. Really much appreciated. And also, thanks to the band for putting on a freaking good show. So, Celestial Sanctuary. If you've never heard of these guys before, but you love your death metal and you want to support the underground, then check them out. YouTube this. Go and check out their Bandcamp. Go and check out Church Road Records. Pick up, a physical copy or some merch or something. And if you see Celestial Sanctuary coming to a venue near you, or even if it's they're supporting some bigger band, like they've just literally got off the road from doing a UK tour. I think it was more than just a couple of standalone shows. It was quite a good run with the legendary New York death metalers Incantation. So that's a pretty big bill. They've also hit the stage before Obituary, which is where I saw them for the second time. They've also just done a UK tour with Fuming Mouth. So these guys are busy, but they are exceptional value for money. So if you get an opportunity to see Celestial Sanctuary, freaking do. They are absolutely worth it. Check them out. Top-notch death metal band. I know my stuff, and I will say they are definitely one of the best in that scene at the minute. No doubt about it. So it was a good night at Voodoo Daddy's in Norwich, UK. Had by all. Interesting mix of bands on the bill. Freaking great set list from Celestial Sanctuary. And I had a jolly good time. Picked up some awesome merch. Got a lovely freebie. Got to have a chat with Tom. What more could you ask for? So, my friends, were you there? Are you a Celestial Sanctuary fan? What's your favourite Celestial Sanctuary release? Be interested to hear. If you've never heard Celestial Sanctuary, I will put some links to YouTube tracks or whatever format, maybe the Bandcamp, in the description at the bottom of the video. So that'll help you along the way. Check it out. Show some support. Genuinely solid band. Thanks for watching, my friends. Please do feel free to like, subscribe, share, comment. It's really very much appreciated. Thank you for the continued support. Take care of yourselves. Until next time, stay freaking heavy.